Jugoslavien som følge af FN's resolution om en international embargo mod Serbien og Montenegro. Som medlem af UEFA var DBU forpligtet til at stille op, uanset hvor tragisk årsagen var. Fra den 10. til den 26. juni skulle de 8 landshold spille 15 kampe om den pokal, Holland havde erobret i Vesttyskland i 1988 og var favorit til at vinde igen. Forventningerne til det danske landshold var små, og kun få gav det en chance for at overleve den indledende runde. Men, som en dansk idrætspsykolog har sagt, det er med danske idrætsudøvere som med Klods Hans, de har det bedst med at komme med på et afbud. Det var som under befrielsen i maj 1945, da landsholdet dagen efter finalen mod Tyskland vendte hjem til Danmark. Allerede i luften kom de første gratulanter. 2 F-16-jægere, som fulgte flyet med europamestrene det sidste stykke til lufthavnen i Kastrup. Og på Rådhuspladsen ventede mere end 100.000 mennesker på at hylde de danske europæiske mestre. Turen fra lufthavnen i Kastrup til Rådhuspladsen foregik i en åben veteranbus. Menneskemylderet oversteg alle forventninger, og turen tog dobbelt så lang tid som planlagt. Men på Rådhuset kom spillerne, og det samme gjorde Henrik Andersen, den uheldige helt, i semifinalen mod Holland. Og på balkongen sang John Faxe Jensen for. Nye Ullevi i Göteborg skueplads for finalen. Mulighederne for at forberede sig havde i sagens natur langt fra været optimale, men spilleglæden var stor, også hos de hjemlige spillere, selvom de kun fik 2 dages pause efter afslutningen på Superligaen. Stemningen i den danske lejr var afslappet. Landsholdet mindede om en stor familie. Skulle disse 3 kampe også blive de eneste for det danske landshold i slutrunden? Richard Møller Nielsen fik sig en snak med den engelske manager Graham Taylor og hans assistent Laurie McMenemy. Og så gjaldt det kampen mod England. Gerde Lineker varmede op til sin 78. 20. landskamp. Og Peter Schmeichel vidste alt om sine engelske modstandere. En af dem var hans holdkammerat i Manchester United, Neil Webb. Men han skulle starte på bænken. Richard Møller Nielsen stolede på sin gamle garde. Det var 21. gang Danmark skulle møde England. Det var blevet til 5 sejre, 3 uafgjorte og 12 nederlag. Den sidste sejr var i 1983 på Wembley, da Allan Simonsen scorede på straffespark. Siden var det blevet 1-1 i Idrætsparken og 1-0 til England på Wembley, og i begge kampe havde Gerde Lineker scoret for England.
And Denmark can break here with the look of a team simply pleased to be involved. So unlucky not to have qualified. Putting together an excellent sequence. David Platt, who's so dangerous in these circumstances, he didn't connect cleanly. Smith helped it on. Very difficult to defend against. Schmeichel able to make the save from play. There's a corner. On comes Tony Daly. Graham Taylor, the England manager, believes Daly can be a trump card. Keith Curle is the player replaced, the late addition to the squad. And Schmeichel calls for more. Flick from Smith. Now Lineker. Can he make something for himself? They haven't made too much for him. His teammates, Schmeichel lost it. Platt came in, the goalkeeper had to be brave, the Manchester United man. And when Denmark have needed him, he hasn't faltered. It was something of a fumble, and he had to show his bravery at the feet of Platt. But Lineker, who's been starved of service really, fought through to set up a shot for himself, and it took Schmeichel a bit by surprise. Silverbeck, that was neatly done.
I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't win the game in the end, because we had the best chances, in my opinion. It's always hard to see when it's up there in the other end. But from what I saw was that we had the biggest chances. We hit the post, and I thought that was in. And that would have been 1-0 for Denmark.
Og sådan så stillingen ud i gruppe 1. I åbningskamp mellem Sverige og Frankrig i Stockholm blev det 1-1. Og fra Malmø gik turen for det danske landshold nordpå til Stockholm.
Thomas Brolin wanting to make to block Brolin's shot. But it was a more straightforward chance for the one that brought the goal. This time Brolin had time to consider. And in taking the time and trying to make absolutely sure, he allowed Lars Olsen to obey the main principle of defending, and that's to get in front of the goal.
Nok tabte det danske landshold, men det overgav sig aldrig. Og trods denne kendsgerning havde Richard Møller Nielsen grund til optimisme. Intet var definitivt afgjort i denne gruppe før sidste spilledag. Selv med kun 1 point i sine første 2 kampe, kunne det danske landshold selv afgøre sin skæbne. Men for at komme i semifinalerne var det nødvendigt at vinde over Frankrig i den 7. kamp mellem de 2 nationer. Frankrig havde 2 sejre, Danmark 3. De 2 første i 1908, hvor det blev 9-0 og 17-1. Michel Platini i selskab med Jimmy Greaves, 44 mål i 57 landskampe for England, nu aktiv som tv-kommentator. Jean-Pierre Papin, 21 mål i sine 37 landskampe for Frankrig. De danske spillere havde opfyldt kravet om en sejr. Og de delte glæden med op imod 10.000 danske hooligans blandt de 26.000 tilskuere på Malmø Stadion. 2 gange havde Danmark været i en semifinale. I 1964 mod Ungarn i Barcelona, hvor det blev 1-3 efter forlænget spilletid. Og i 1984, da Danmark tabte på straffespark til Spanien i Lyon.
I think everybody has been very surprised, and me too. But it's a really nice feeling to be in the semi-final, and it's a nice surprise, I think.
Og sådan så programmet for semifinalerne ud. Næsten som forventet, bortset fra, at Danmark var med.
It's a very, very tough game, that's for sure. But I mean, when you get to the semi-final, everything is possible. And you know as well in football, everything is possible, and why not?
We have to play our game. We shouldn't be too much concerned about what Holland is going to do, because if we do that, we might get scared. I mean, to go out and be scared for Holland, we've lost the game.
There will be a lot of pressure on Holland on Monday, and there will be no pressure at all at us, and that can be our chance that, you know, the Dutch player, they will feel the pressure.
De danske hooligans stod side om side på Nye Ullevi i Göteborg. For 3. gang var Danmark i en europæisk finale, skulle 3. gang blive lykkens gang. Denne turnering var den sidste store opgave for den 64-årige træner Rinus Michels. Sidemanden Dick Advocaat var klar til at overtage ansvaret efter sommerferien. Hollandsk stjerneparade Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp, og Richard Møller Nielsen, afslappet og fortrøstningsfuld. Eksempelvis at Kim Vilfort var vendt tilbage. Ken Nielsen havde pådraget sig en fibersprængning mod Frankrig og var ude af stand til at spille. Torben Picknick overtog hans plads for at markere Marco van Basten. Med Kim Vilfort der til rådighed, blev Brian Laudrup rykket op i frontlinjen, og Torben Frank måtte tage plads på bænken. Holland stillede med samme 11, som suverænt havde besejret Tyskland 3-1. I 23 landskampe mellem Holland og Danmark var det blevet til 10 hollandske og 7 danske sejre.
The holders go out. Denmark have defied all the odds to reach the final. Twice they led in regulation time. Twice the Dutch came back. It went to penalties. 5 out of 5 for the Danes. And Denmark, the latecomers called in to make up the numbers, have done so much more than that. They rose above France and England in their group, and now they've deprived the Dutch of the opportunity to become the first country to retain the European title. It hardly seemed possible, but Holland have to face the harsh fact that they are out. It's Denmark against Germany next Friday night.
Dansk fodbolds hidtil største sejr. Sådan.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I wouldn't have dreamt of this, even when we knew that we were going here. We were coming here to this tournament, hoping that we could do a good result, and so far we've done good. And win it on penalty, the last penalty is just unbelievable.
Well, you played your part in that. What about that save from Marco van Basten?
Well, I've seen him shoot a lot of penalties, and I expected him to put it in that side. And I mean, it's just a chance for the keeper to pick a side, and I was lucky that he put the ball in that side. It was just unbelievable that we could do so well in the penalty shootout.
Some great scenes of jubilation at the end there. Your fans are something special, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and they behave nicely, and it's something to be very proud of as a football player, to have fans that support you that good and after the games, even though that if we hadn't won today, they would have behaved nicely, and I'm very proud of that.
Nye Ullevi i Göteborg. Finalen om Europamesterskabet mellem Danmark og Tyskland. Skulle det lykkes at tilføje et nyt eventyrligt kapitel til dansk fodbolds historie, netop i Göteborg. Den 11. maj 1976 vandt Danmark 2-1 over Sverige på Nye Ullevi. Den første danske sejr i Sverige i 37 år. Berti Vogts sang ikke med på Deutschland über alles. Måske anede han, hvor det bar hen. Jürgen Klinsmann, Richard Møller Nielsen, Henrik Larsen, den danske topscorer med 3 mål i denne slutrunde. Udover Henrik Andersen og Ben Christensen, der begge var blevet opereret, havde Danmark 7 spillere på skadelisten. Men alle blev meldt klar. Ken Nielsen vendte tilbage, Torben Picknick blev bibeholdt, og Kim Christofte rykkede ud på venstrekanten i stedet for Henrik Andersen, for at tage sig af Tysklands bedste spiller, Thomas Hessler. Tyskland stillede med samme hold, som i semifinalen havde vundet 3-2 over Sverige. Det var den 24. landskamp mellem Danmark og Tyskland. Danmark havde vundet 6, Tyskland 14.
The 15th match in 17 days here in Sweden, and the final has so many of the elements which characterise this captivating game.
Men for at få det fulde udbytte af glæde, må man have nogen at dele den med. De danske spillere havde en hel fodboldverden at dele den med. Præstationen i Sverige var ikke kun en sejr for dem og dansk fodbold. Med deres talent og vilje, og især spilleglæde, gjorde de den til en sejr for selve fodboldspillet.
Ken Nielsen, many congratulations. You won!
Yeah, it's amazing, you know. Of course we knew we had a chance today, but as you could see, we were very, very tired. I must admit, I think the German team was the best team today, but we played really clever, and the chances we had, you know, we scored on those. And it was a real battle today. But again, I think we deserved to win the tournament. We have played well the last 3 matches.
What does this mean to the people of Denmark?
You know, you can just listen to them now. It's amazing. I think today it's about 90% of the Danish population who will watch this game. And with your small nation, you know, little things to be very proud of. And this is one of the things. All Denmark is behind us.
Can you believe it yet? You weren't even in the competition a month ago, and you've won it now.
Yeah, it's so amazing, you know. Again, when we started, you know, we only expected 3 matches. But then, you know, now we've had 5, and it's just amazing.
There's the trophy now. Lift it up for us.
Yeah, well.
I think it'll be a great party tonight in Copenhagen, and I think we will have a big party tonight as well. So I think it means a lot to Denmark, not only for us, but also for the whole Denmark.
There'll be a few Carlsberg struck tonight then.
I think so, yes.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We weren't that fit for this game because we had that long game against Holland, and we had a day lesser rest than the Germans had. But I mean, when you score that early, you can go through fire and you know, still come out as a winner.
And what a great goal it was by John Jensen.
Oh, it was. Our second goal was just as great. It came on the right time because the Germans were taking over and they were getting closer and closer. So when we scored the last goal, I thought, now this is it, we're going to win it. It's going to mean that Danish kids are going to play football instead of ice hockey or any other sports events. They're going to join up for football now. That's very important for a small country that we have a lot of players.